the name of God, whose mercy is profound, whose kindness is everlasting, we are exploring the question, and we are trying to explore it objectively in the light of the book authored by Mr. Abdus Sattar Ghauri of Pakistan, who is a research fellow of Al Morid, an Islamic institute located in Lahore. He's authored this book, Isaac or Ishmael, the only son offered for sacrifice. And we have seen that in the last episode, the author has presented the 4 claims that have been made to show as to which of the possible sites could be the one that could claim more authoritatively and convincingly that that was the Moriah at which Ishmael, at which the first born son of Abraham was sacrificed. We have seen that the first 3 claims were mentioned and were rejected because they were not found convincing. And now we are going to explore the possibility of the 4th of them as to whether it could actually be acceptable or not. The 4th claim is that it is the Solomon's temple, the place at which it has been constructed in Jerusalem, which is the Moriah at which the first born son of Abraham was offered for sacrifice. The author mentions that the sole place in the whole of the Bible where the site of the Solomon's temple has been attached to Moriah is the book of Chronicles 2, chapter 3, verse 1. It was not based on any objective reality according to the author or historical facts. It was a theological invention and was fabricated to attach reverence and importance to the house of the Lord. This claim of the author is supported by a number of supporting evidence that he has mentioned from the various different scholars of the Bible. So the author says that it may be observed in the narrative of Chronicle 1, chapter 21, verses 15 to 28, that the alleged place of Moriah has been mentioned in the longish passage for 11 times, and the proper name Moriah has not been attributed to it even for a single time in the whole of the narrative. In other words, the same place is described over and over again 11 times, and yet not on a single occasion the name that it is alleged to be carrying was mentioned in the Chronicles. He quotes Josephus and says, as Josephus has offered a narrative of the event in his Antiquities, which will further elaborate the point. And after having mentioned the description of the narrative, Flavius Josephus says, now when King David saw that God had heard his prayer and had graciously accepted of his sacrifices, he resolved to call that entire case biblical identification is called in question. Then the author mentions Peake's commentary on the Bible, and he quotes the author saying, "But it is impossible that the Temple Mount at Jerusalem could have been the scene of the incident of sacrifice for various reasons." He mentions, quotes Reed and McNeil in their article on Moriah in the Hastings Revised Dictionary of Bible. They assert that the tradition of identifying Moriah with the site of Solomon's temple is not traceable. The authors say efforts to identify the source of this tradition have been unsuccessful. Michael Avi Yonah observes in the Encyclopedia Judaica, the assumption that Abraham intended to sacrifice Isaac on the threshing floor of Jebus, Jerusalem, in full view of the Canaanite city is far-fetched. International Standard Bible Encyclopedia observes, according to the author, the description could hardly apply to Jerusalem in any case. With our present knowledge, we must be content to leave the question open. The author has thus presented a number of different authorities, some of which I have read them out before you, to show that the scholars of Bible are not comfortable with the idea that the hill of Moriah, at which, according to the Bible, Abraham offered his son for sacrifice, is the same place where the house of the Lord, the temple, was built by Solomon. And given this strong disagreement within the tradition of the Jews and the Christians, therefore, the claim cannot be considered very authentic, reliable, and convincing. May God Almighty enable us to know what the reality and the truth about this particular issue is, and may He enable us to know the reality about all religious truths wherever they are found.